Okay, you're Joan McAllister, is that
Correct.
right? And tell me a little bit about why did you decide that you needed hearing aids?
I basically knew I needed hearing aids, but I think my family influenced me in the fact that they were getting disgusted with me because I couldn't hear, and I had to finally admit that yes, I need hearing aids.
Was the television volume being turned up? And,
My husband didn't need the volume, but then I would want the volume up, and so therefore it caused friction because my television listening was needed to be a little louder than his, and so I'd go in another room and wouldn't be with the family sometimes because of the hearing. I couldn't hear what they were listening to.
were you having problems in church and restaurants and other places?
I think the first time I noticed that I was having a hearing problem was in a group at a restaurant, and I realized that I couldn't understand what was going on around me at the table, and so therefore this was the first time I noticed it. And then my family and they were saying, I was saying, what did you say? Excuse me, what? And they got a little tired of it, simply having me doing that all the time. And it was irritating to people, or my family anyway.
Yeah. So how long did this go on?
Longer than it should have, because
Was it a year, 2 years, or?
probably 2 years that I put it off, because I guess a realization that you need a hearing aid to me, was kind of a big step in my life. And therefore I just plain didn't want anybody to know that I couldn't hear, and by having hearing aids. Yeah.
Well, as I understand, that's pretty natural with
Maybe
folks.
that's a little vain, but that's but I think that you recognize that you are growing older, or you have a need, and that's not always easy for a person to do.
Okay, so now you made the decision that you're going to do this, and but did somebody kind of have to push you out the house to?
Well, sort of, because I knew Dr. Lowe, and I knew what he took care of my mother about 10 to 15 years ago, so I knew who I wanted to go to. I just couldn't get within my own self. I didn't want to make that phone call. So finally, my son, he came back. I had some papers, and he looked at these papers, and he said, "Is that the hearing doctor?" And that was an ad in the paper. And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Well, then let's make the phone call now." And I said, "I will later, I'll do it." That's why I cut the item out, the number. Well, he didn't wait for later. He went in and made the phone call and made the appointment. And I did keep it.
So you were hedging, and he says, "Let's go." And
He said, "Let's go." He was tired of the whole thing.
are you happy you made the trip?
I am more than happy. I'm thrilled. I'm absolutely thrilled. I didn't realize what I was missing.
Yeah. In a short way, tell us kind of what the procedure was. You came in and you had a test, and
I came in, and he checked my ears. He was very personal. Because I knew him from before. It was about probably 15 years ago that I brought my mother in, because she needed the hearing aids at the time, and she was thrilled with coming in then, even though they weren't anything near what they have to offer today. She still was pleased. And so when I came in, he did the hearing test, checked my ears, and I was amazed at how quickly the process is. It wasn't something where I think back then when I brought my mother, they had to put something in the ear to make a mold or something. So this is what I thought they still did, and they do nothing like that. Absolutely nothing. It's so simple.
so did you have some choices of devices that you wanted?
Yes, I did, and I didn't realize how simple one of the behind the ears pieces look. How I have one I have the one now that goes behind my ear. And when they said there was a little one that goes in the ear, I didn't relate to the two things together well. I thought this was a big bulky thing I had behind my ear.
Yeah.
And after looking at the others, this is so far superior for me anyway.
Can you turn your head to sideways? You don't need to lift your hair up or anything. Just turn your hair sideways. But because you have a device in now.
Yes, I do. And I'll take my glasses off so you can see.
Oh wow! You can't even tell they're there.
No.
And
This is where the part of the hearing aid goes right behind your ear where my hand is. And then there's a little tiny, which you can't hardly see, tube going down and then into my ear. And this, wonderful. That's all I can say. They're wonderful.
okay, so did it take you long to get acquainted with using them, or
No.
used to wearing them, or were they bothersome, or?
They weren't bad. When Dr. Lowe offered me one that went into the ear, not behind the ear, but everything was in the ear. And when I put those on, I felt like, I told him I felt like I had earmuffs on. And then he said to me, well, those won't work then. And he offered me these that I have now, and the difference is amazing. I love these.
And is your brand a Siemens, or?
Yes, it is a Siemens. My mother had that, and she was happy. So that was one of the reasons that I chose to come here also, was because he offered that brand.
So tell me a little bit more about the device. You say it goes down into your ear, and then there's a little device that kind of makes it hold in there so it's not falling out.
I will take it out and show you how simple it is. This goes behind my ear, and this little tiny thing goes in my ear, and that's all there is to it. The only thing that you see is what I'm showing you here, the plastic little thing right there is the only thing that's visible. And the biggest thing about these is, in fact, the reason that I didn't want to get hearing aids, a big reason was, I didn't want to deal with putting the batteries in every 5 days or 4 days or whatever, or leaving them at home or them going dead. And these do not do that. They last a year. The batteries in this last a year.
Okay, so tell me about that. Did you have a charger that goes with it that
Yes.
you use?
At night I take them out. I slip them in this little charger. It's just around like this. You flip it up, put them in, and it recharges every night, every day or every night, whichever you desire. And then also, there's a device on the top here where I can use to determine the volume, or if I'm in a restaurant or a church or at home with TV. But I also have, which I don't mess with this very much, so to speak, because it's just, what I have here is so simple. This is something you can wear around your neck or put it in your pocket, whatever you want to do. And it has, you just turn it on here, after you put your hearing aids first, then you turn them on with this on the side, and then these are volume up and volume down, and you're all set for the day,
Yeah.
wherever.
And you can set the program. I think you told me you had it programmed for 3 different levels.
Yes, I do.
One is for like our conversation now.
One for television, one for a group, like if you're in church. And that made a big difference in church, because I couldn't hear the pastor or anything. I could hear, but it was mumbled. I can hear everything now.
Wow, so that's all you have to do is put those in every night and charge them. Put them in, put the device
Put this around my neck,
carry
throw
that,
anywhere.
and
It doesn't need to show. I can put it down inside if I want, or take it off, put it in my pocket. It's wonderful.
now, did Dr. Lowe pre-program that for you?
Yes, he did, which was amazing also, because I sat there with him, and he programmed it right in front of me and then handed me the hearing aids, which I thought I would have to wait a long, long time for. So that was a surprise when he handed me the hearing. He put them in and told me I was finished, and I was pleasantly surprised.
Wow. I hear so many people complaining that they have these little bitty batteries, and they're most people who have hearing are a little older, and trying to handle those little bitty batteries and the filters, and that has none of those.
This has no, you do not have to put batteries in this. And when I watch people doing that,
You don't have to put batteries in the hearing aids.
when I watch people trying to put batteries in their hearing aids, that was one reason that discouraged me from going further with my problem, because I didn't want to deal with that. They would drop them on the floor, and then they would be dead when they needed them, or they wouldn't. They would go out of. What am I trying to say? Go out on them while they were talking in the middle
Sure.
of a conversation. There, all of a sudden, they wait a minute.
So the battery and the device down here has to be changed once in a while, but in your hearing aids, I heard that you only have to change them maybe once a year or something like that. And,
Correct,
and they're
once a year.
rechargeable type batteries.
They're rechargeable. You do nothing. You'd have to, and I know that I've been around people who have had to change them or didn't have them with them when they went dead and all that. And so, and to be honest, I didn't know that this was offered when I came here. I was so pleasantly surprised. I had no idea that there was any device that a person could use without the batteries every day.
Well, you certainly seem thrilled that you have that. And would you encourage someone, if they're hesitating because of the batteries, to...
If you're hesitating because of the batteries, then come and see Dr. Lowe. It's amazing. And another thing that was amazing was what the cost of these. They're so far superior to any that I've seen, and yet that he offers equally the same prices as you get elsewhere. So this isn't like where you have to come in and get something special and spend more money. It's exactly the same prices of some of these other places who do just in the year and changing the batteries over and over and over.
So you would recommend folks to come and see Dr. Lowe?
I would recommend this above all things, yes.
And
And
Dr.
Dr.
Lowe
Lowe.
and Dr. Lowe himself,
Yes.
he seems to be kind of a nice man.
I think he's a very nice man, and I'm amazed at the accomplishments that he's made as far as his schooling goes. And he's kind, and you don't need to feel intimidated whatsoever. So come in and see Dr. Lowe as soon as you can if you have a hearing problem.
Okay, well, thanks. We appreciate your interview.
You're welcome.